Hello EFD squad and welcome back to the Euro Roundup where the big man is back in the big chair for the big weekend. Can we frame it as that?
Sort of, why not?
International football, back with a bang. So, here we go, starting with Osborne Jordan's suggestion of Germany. But before we delve into Die Mannschaft Pato, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscriber button right now as displayed on screen. Making life easy for you, you know. Germany, Holland.
Yeah, and it didn't turn out that well for those of us on the Dutch half of the divide. Germany got their first win in 7 games with a last gasp victory over their old foes, the Netherlands, at the Amsterdam Arena. Now, it was a little bit of revenge for Joachim Löw. Obviously, they lost to the Netherlands 3-0 in the autumn and then drew 2-2 in the Nations League. But this game, the very first time the Netherlands have been beaten by Germany on home soil in 23 years.
He needed it. Löw looks so stressed on the sideline. He looks like he needs a spa holiday. Unbelievably gaunt.
Yeah, though I'm not sure. We'll get into that in a bit. I'm not sure that this was like the kind of comprehensive victory that he'd have hoped for.
Yeah.
You know, like, because they went up 2-0 in the first half. He played this kind of 3-5-2, knowing he hadn't beaten the Netherlands since 2012. He was probably really, really keen to get a result here. Played this 3-5-2 with Leroy Sané and Serge Gnabry up top. So a lot of movement, but not necessarily a focal point in the attack. Yeah. But both scored within about half an hour. Sané getting his 3rd in 4 games and Gnabry scoring an absolute belter. And at that point, it looked like they might run away with it, which is kind of unheard of at this point with during Koeman's stewardship of the Netherlands, I guess.
Yeah, Sillissen made some very good saves as well, didn't he, on the kind of precipice of half-time. But Koeman's men did come out, you know, stronger in the second half, maintaining 58% possession and firing off 10 shots to Germany's 4 in the second 45. But despite De Ligt with a very good header, actually, I don't think the commentators credited him enough with that little inventive flick, and Depay pulling things level, a lovely sort of dragged effort that Depay has become synonymous with. They were left largely frustrated after this period, and it was quite an open game, but 6 of those 10 shots were blocked, and Löw's side, you know, that back 3 became a back 5, and they really just sort of soaked in the pressure until the latter stages of the game. And Nico Schulz, who looks like,
of all people,
looks like Andy Serkis in Lord of the Rings.
He's got Lord of the Rings hair. He's got very Lord of the Rings hair.
Gollum's name is before he becomes Gollum. Oh, it's on the edge of my tongue.
Smeagol.
Smeagol, yes, he looks a little bit like Smeagol. I mean, regardless of that, very good on the night. Stationed at left wing back, the Hoffenheim man made 7 tackles and interceptions, won 100% of his tackles, made 4 clearances, provided 2 key passes, the first being for Sané's lovely sort of clipped finish into the side netting, and had 2 shots. So a really productive performance for him, heavily reliant on him supporting that attacking cast, which, like you said, were all over the place, weren't they? In, I suppose, the best possible way. Shout-out's got to go to Depay, though. He put in a complete performance up front, got a goal, an assist, had 74 touches, just 1 less than central midfielder Frenkie de Jong in this game. That's how much he was involved. 4 shots, 4 key passes, as you do. As you do. We've been saying this for a while, haven't we? Depay is ready to explode. 2 dribbles as well. Now, the result means that Northern Ireland are the early front runners in Group C. Come on, Northern Ireland. I think Johnny Evans scored with 6 points. Germany have a game in hand, though. But do you think that this result is going to become, I suppose, symbolic of a sort of turnaround in Germany's fortunes, guys? We're not overly convinced, but it's a good start, isn't it? Let us know who your Euro 2020 favourites are in the comments below.
First losers of the weekend are Argentina. This comes from @CameronSmith10.
Regular contributor.
A bit of a disappointing day for Lionel Messi in a season where he hasn't had very many of them.
Yeah, and it was a bit of a ragtag and bobtail outfit. And this was a friendly, but the manner in which Argentina lost, and given that it was Messi's return after a post-World Cup sabbatical, made this all the more embarrassing. And, you know, Salomon Rondon looked like the Ballon d'Or winner on the pitch on the night. Messi not exactly getting the service that he's become accustomed to. So he actually missed out on the last 6 international fixtures, but he still couldn't save his team here despite, you know, that rest at international level, as Rondon, Murillo and Joseph Martinez all netted for Venezuela, whose kit, delicious by the way. Really rate it. And they've got a lot of problems behind the scenes as well. So this isn't exactly like a really harmonious Venezuela side. We know that Argentina constantly have problems with the Argentinian FA behind the scenes. But it's very similar with Venezuela, I'm led to believe. The only reply for Argentina coming through Lautaro Martinez. You tell me he was one of about 68 Martinezes on the pitch.
Yeah, I looked at the squad list and it was just like Martinez, Martinez, Messi. That was it.
Becoming quite comical at this point. And a mixed bag for Argentina, statistically speaking. They did have 66% of the ball. They did go down 1-0 after just 5 minutes, though, so game plan out the window in that regard, I guess. And could only muster 11 shots, with 3 coming on target. That's the same as Cardiff have averaged in the Premier League this season. Now, they didn't call up the likes of Aguero, but still enough attacking talent in that side to put up, bigger numbers than Neil Warnock's Cardiff. Venezuela as well, not exactly the Albicelestes booby team. Have only beat them once in 23 previous encounters, and not the best way to start Lionel Scaloni's tenure as full-time Argentina boss, Pato. Give me some background on Scaloni, because I know nothing about him.
Well, he's a former right-back, and I think he got a handful of caps. I think he maybe got 7 for Argentina. But there's a lot of experience in their management team. It's made up of ex-internationals Pablo Aimar, Walter Samuel, Roberto Ayala. All of them played for their national team.
90s legends.
But it does kind of show as well, though, how long Messi has been playing for this side, because all of them played with Messi for Argentina.
Wow. Okay.
And of course, he's nearly 32 now. But while he's experienced, the rest of the squad very much wasn't. They had 150 combined caps between the 28 non-Messi players in the squad, while Messi himself is 128. So that kind of shows you that they're in a difficult transition stage from the old boys Bilia, Mascherano, and Zabaleta and Romero kind of moving into a new era where people like Lautaro Martinez, Lo Celso, Paredes are going to be more important to them. Aguero, Higuain, Icardi all left out of the squad entirely. Pablo Dybala was there but sat on the bench for the entire game.
Why?
Despite them being
Why is he agreeing to travel at this point?
Well, when you think that they've been chasing the game for 85 minutes... and they don't see a need to bring on Paulo Dybala, despite the fact they're not exactly racking up shots. It seems very, very strange to me. It's pretty much just the Messi show. I like that they've brought in Paredes and Lo Celso, beefed up that midfield, because they were far too easily counter-attacked at the World Cup. But they're still using a similar high line to the one Sampaoli employed, and it was so easily beaten. That first goal for Rondon was just a simple ball over the top, and he managed to shrug off the defender and put it away, which is kind of what Rondon does. So, I mean... Argentina, unlike, say, the Netherlands or Germany, where they've said, you know what, we were really defensively suspect for a while, so we've gone back to basics. We're going to make sure we're incredibly difficult to break down and then use really talented, fast attackers to break away. Argentina still don't do that.
They've doubled down. They've doubled down.
They still want to play like they did, I don't know, like... in the 90s maybe, but actually their best success in the last 15-20 years came when they made the World Cup final in 2014, playing a really defensive, just sensible counter-attacking system. They've got 3 months left till the Copa America, and they're going to need to find a better balance, especially if Messi wants to take that final chance to get his hands on an international trophy.
Now? Copa America?
The World Cup, and I think 3 Copa America finals that they've lost.
Come on, let's get him a Copa America.
Well, yeah, and he's now going to sit out their Tuesday game against Morocco with a groin injury. So, not a good weekend overall for the little Barcelona man.
Our next suggestion comes from Adarsh_10, and we're deviating from international football right now to shed a little bit of light, and deservedly so, on the women's game, because there's been some high-profile matches of late. And we're going to discuss Juventus FC women's team, who took one step closer, Pato, to securing some more silverware.
Yeah, they are closing in on back-to-back Serie A titles, following a 1-0 victory over Fiorentina, who've been their closest rivals, I'd say, this season. They're now 4 points behind after this defeat, with just 3 games remaining. So it looks like Juventus are going to do what Juventus do and pick up another trophy. The decisive goal came with just 5 minutes left. Danish midfielder Sophie Junge Pedersen, who actually had quite an interesting route to La Madama. She used to split her time between playing football and doing charity and aid work in Africa.
Bloody good egg.
So, I mean... doing double duty there. Juve also the home of Leanne Sanderson and Eni Aluko, former England internationals, who you may know. But they've been absolutely magisterial so far this season. After 19 games, they're top with 50 points, having scored 54 goals and conceded only 6.
I love that.
Some things never change.
Yeah, I love that it doesn't matter if it's the men's or women's team at Juventus, they just won't concede any goals.
Yeah, but 6 in 19 is absurd. Like, there's never been a team who's conceded 12 goals in a 38-game league season. Even Juve have never done that.
Yeah, what was Jose Mourinho's Chelsea 15?
15, I think, 14, 15.
Well, let's hope they break that then. But the main story here, I guess, isn't so much what happened on the field in this game, because like Pato said, Juventus, excellent pedigree, used to winning by now, but the scenes off of it. So 39,000 fans turned up in their droves at the Allianz Stadium. The first time the ground has actually been used for women's football, so long overdue in that regard. And the game was almost triple the previous record of 14,000. Now, the fact that tickets were free may have helped, but the women's game being given the boost, being given the support it's needed for some years now, and subsequently has led to amazing scenes. This continues the theme of women's football blooming across Europe, doesn't it? We saw 60,000 turn up against Atleti versus Barcelona at the Wanda Metropolitano, always struggle with that, very recently, which actually was a world record. And we continue to see a bigger amount of investment going into the women's game. So Manchester United formed last season. Juve women were actually formed 2 years ago.
Really?
So they've, developed this culture of winning from the off. And the Women's Super League has just received a £10 million sponsorship from Barclays. And I imagine in a couple of years' time we'll be saying that is money well spent by Barclays.
Yeah,
big time. So it's the biggest deal in women's football history thus far. And the World Cup's coming up in France this summer. So a lot to look forward to if you're a fan of the women's game. And, if not, you'll probably be won over very soon.
Our second and final loser is from Black Panther 84. He says, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang should be in the losers. Not a fan of this, but why?
Well, I suppose there is just cause for it if you're not an Arsenal fan. So just to give you a little bit of context, Gabon missed out on qualification for this summer's African Cup of Nations, which a lot of you have been tweeting us about. Thank you for keeping us in the loop. After drawing 1-1 with Burundi in their final group game. Now, if the Panthers had beaten Burundi, they'd have gone through behind Mali. But they fell behind in the 76th minute thanks to a goal from midfielder Cedric Amisi, and could only salvage a point through an own goal from Burundi's Omar Ngandu. Now, Aubameyang has played just 2 of Gabon's 6 group games and scored once, having failed to turn up to matches against South Sudan and Mali, despite being named in the squad. So it's a pretty bad example to set. Now, I don't know the context around it. There might have been extenuating circumstances, but he's captain, he's record goal scorer, he's been called up, so their football association have deemed him fit enough to play, or whatever, and he's just not come to their aid, let's say.
Well, he's clearly fit enough to play. I mean, he's been playing well this season, but he's kind of been talking off and on about retirement since 2016 and saying, I don't know how long I'll be doing this for. I want to focus on club football. And now, as a result, Gabon fans are calling for him to quit the international game. He's 29 years old, so I suppose they can move on. God knows who's actually going to take his place.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what's the point of wasting a place in the squad on someone who may not turn up?
And I suppose he's the narrative every single time he doesn't do that, right?
Well, I think so, yeah. And I don't know, it's a real failure for Gabon, because this was not a particularly tough group they were drawn in, and yet they managed to finish third in it. They've never made 3 consecutive AFCONs. So they made the last 2, didn't make this one. But on the other hand, you've got to be excited for Burundi fans. This point ensures that they end the qualification stage unbeaten, 2 wins and 4 draws. And it's actually the first time they've ever made the African Cup of Nations final stage.
So they're the story here.
Yeah,
never mind Aubameyang.
They're ranked 138th in the world. And so in June, they're going to play in their continent's most prestigious tournament. And I think that's great news. So unlucky Aubameyang, but congratulations to Burundi.
Star of the week now, and it comes from Madonna for president, and it's Jana Ananidze. And I need to revisit my pronunciation of that because it's probably poor. So, let's just roll with that.
Yeah, well, as you can tell from the name, Ananidze is a Georgian footballer, and he actually saved the life of Switzerland's Fabian Schär during Switzerland's 2-0 victory over Georgia at the weekend. Schär collided heads with Georgia's Yemal Tabidze as they both went for the ball during the 24th minute of the match. It actually knocked the Newcastle defender, current Newcastle defender, unconscious. But Ananidze leapt into action, pulled his tongue out of the back of his throat to stop him choking. Embarrassingly, for the game of football, Cher went on to continue. He carried on with the rest of the match.
By swallowing his tongue.
Which is, I'm sorry, but this has gone so far now, this idea of like people applauding players when they get up and carry on after being knocked unconscious. It's incredibly dangerous. If you get hit in the head after recently suffering a concussion, then there's a really large chance that you will not just suffer brain damage, but you will die. And yet at the same time, we have players suffering traumatic head injuries and just carrying on playing because they think that they need to be tough, despite the fact that football is clearly not a tough game.
And this isn't some obscure level of football, is it, as well? This is international football. This is where the precedent is set, and the players should be looked after and protected to the very utmost. It's not some obscure third division game where, so standards. But yes, let's get back to the Spartak Moscow winner, who's actually on loan at Krylia Sovetov Samara. He was powerless to prevent his side succumbing to Swiss defeat, though, with goals from Zuba and Denis Zakaria, handing Switzerland their third victory in the last 4 games. So decent form from the Swiss. Their previous game was a 5-2 victory over World Cup semi-finalist Belgium, and Ananidze's next outing will be against the Irish on Tuesday before returning to Samara, who are 11th in the Russian Premier League, just a point above relegation playoff places. So he saved a life. Now he needs to go and help save his team from the second division in Russia, which I'm guessing pretty ghastly.
I knew you were going to do that. I knew it.
So that's that on Euro Roundup for another week. If you're still here at this point, then fair bloody play. Getting through Georgia versus Switzerland, no mean feat. Pato, what else is on the channel or across all the channels?
Well, obviously make sure you're subscribed to FDEFD and FDFC. Of course, we've got Stat Wars, the champions going on at the moment, which I might have made a little guest appearance in.
Rumour has it.
Rumour does have it. And of course, Scout Report. What else have we got? Non-league vlogs, all the great content we've got going out across all our channels. Make sure that you like this, of course, and leave a comment if you enjoyed it. If you didn't enjoy it, shut up, keep your opinions to yourself. Bye.
Wrong opinions.